self. Going to be talking about virtual and augmented reality. Just giving you an overview today. If you are already in this space, I'm hopeful that the webinar will just get you more excited about being in the space. If you're not, you won't feel so isolated. You know, I'm hoping that what you'll hear today will be simplified enough that you'll be able to just do it or move in that direction or start to think about it more than you have in the past. Virtual reality, I personally have been working in this space since 2016. Can't believe that's 5 years ago now. And we are really seeing things take shape. And so I'm just excited about this talk. And if you have questions while you are here, while you're live with us, then please feel free to reach out. If this is a replay, then you can always, of course, put your questions in the comments, and I'm sure someone from Amana will get back to you. But hey, we are going to get started, and I see now that I should say hello to YouTube. I should say hello to Facebook and all of the other places where you could be watching from. So Personal Growth Matters is the series. And I wanted to entitle this presentation, Your Digital Self, Part 2. So I'll just get started with the presentation now, using one of my favorite tools to present these days, which is Canva. And let me actually stop sharing and start it from the beginning. But Canva's a cool tool. We're not here to talk about necessarily. We're not necessarily here to talk about my favorite tools today, but I will do a shameless plug for my blog and my web app that you can get some key insight into what I like to use and just the media, my mindset behind the media ministry that I do. And you can go on jcpublicity.org. That is short for Jesus Christ Publicists. So jcpublicity.org, where you'll see some pretty cool things. Hopefully they inspire you to capture what God is doing in the earth. And that's what the media ministry that I have is all about. So here we go. Let us share now again. Good morning, Dr. Leary. It would be weird if I didn't say good morning to the woman who founded this Amana Bible Institute. It is Women's History Month. It is International Women's Day on March 8th, depending on when you see this, but it's March 8th every year. So it'll always be timely. And I just wanted to give you a shout out and say you're doing great things, and I'm glad to be here today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Professor L.
Okay. And so let's get right on into that presentation then, and hopefully I'll be ready this time with the tool that I said I love to use so much. So your digital self, Part 2, virtual and augmented reality. I am the one who will be taking you on this journey today because I feel like it's going to be more, I'm more into experiences than I am into just lectures or events or anything like that. Also, if you have any questions, make sure you put those in the comments. We'll be moderating that. But all right, so we're going to do a quick look into the future of VR and AR. VR being short for virtual reality, AR being short for augmented reality. I will give a shout out to some of my teachers who are always like, when they hear AR, they think of advanced reading, which in some cases, that's what that means too. But for the sake of what we're discussing, AR stands for augmented reality. So here we go.
This is some pretty wild stuff, and we're just getting started.
So here we are in an entirely new space. First of all, we had to get used to Zoom this year. Check it out.
We are in a digital era. We think of it as far as technology and games, but the social implications are significant.
I have a different type of attention than I would if we were, let's say, doing this through a Zoom.
It's bringing back face-to-face in a way that goes beyond Zoom.
Really, it's almost like our bodies are becoming computers. It's beyond where computing has been. And that is me, El Michelle. This is my digital self talking there with DJ Soto. He is the pastor of Virtual Reality Church. Not just in name, they are in VR and have been there for years. And we were just discussing how virtual reality and being in a space, as you can see, I am at that point in a what is called like a virtual office space. We decided to do our interview in that space. We were able to record the interview with our virtual cameras in the virtual office space. So I think I really wanted to start this out with that and letting you know that your digital self now is going well beyond where we ever thought it would. It's going beyond the screen. And that is what we'll be talking about today. You heard us in our discussion saying, hey, this is more engaging than Zoom. I think I'll just play it really quick. It's another 30 seconds because you may have been kind of like, wait, is she talking? Is she not? But check out what we're saying just really quickly.
This is some pretty wild stuff, and we're just getting started.
So here we are in an entirely new space. First of all, we had to get used to Zoom this year.
We are in a digital era. We think of it as far as technology and games, but the social implications are significant.
I have a different type of attention than I would if we were, let's say, doing this through a Zoom.
Right. It's bringing back face-to-face in a way that goes beyond Zoom.
Really, it's almost like our bodies are becoming computers. It's beyond where computing has been. And it is beyond where computing has been. And as I was seated in that space, it had my undivided attention because there was a sense of presence. And that is what this new era of computing is all about. Anytime you hear virtual reality, augmented reality, I want you to think about it in terms of it being a new era of computing, not just games. Games might have been the introduction and piquing our interest, but quite honestly, if you're not a gamer, you might have been like, oh, well, that's not for me. Au contraire, this is a new era of computing and the possibilities really are endless. These pictures were taken at Florida A&M University, I guess I should say. I am based in Tallahassee, Florida, and Florida A&M University, a historically Black college university. I'd like to say it's one of the best. Dr. Leary is not leading this discussion, so she cannot speak up for hers. And so it's where I graduated from, but I'll say this, and in addition to that, they have been very receptive to this new era of computing and giving me the opportunity to be among those who are leading the way in this space with the university. So with that said, the key to VR, you saw on the previous slide that we had avatars. Avatars are in their essence in communicating in these new worlds. That is your transportation. That is your way of communicating right now through an avatar, through a digital version of yourself. With social media, we started out with profile pictures. That was our digital representation. That on the social platforms, it's very hard to even communicate without having some sort of representation of who you are. I don't know about you, but if I get a friend request from somebody with a picture versus with someone who hasn't uploaded one, I'm more likely to go with the person who's uploaded some sort of likeness of themselves, some sort of representation of themselves. So likewise, as we begin in this next era of computing, now it goes a step further, having more of like a full body avatar. Now in the first scene that I showed you, you might have saw me with the glasses, which are similar, and the hair. My hair, I wear different styles, but my signature style is more of a shorter look like that. So we're representing kind of who we are in these worlds as authentically as we can. And that is a whole nother discussion that we can talk about another day. But authenticity is still key in these new worlds. But speaking of keys now, we'll talk about the key to VR. In virtual worlds, avatars give you a sense of presence. I felt like I was in it at that time. And presence is key in virtual reality. What makes this new era of computing different from all the rest? The sense of presence. Now, being here on Zoom or wherever you're watching from, I don't want to, the screen has provided an opportunity for us to reach out into new territories. I'm talking about whatever screen you're watching this on right now. It has removed geographical barriers. It has, it's removed things like that and allowed or given us the opportunity to connect in ways we haven't before. I'm talking digitally and what we're doing on the screen right now. But VR takes it a step further and gives you a sense of presence, a sense of being here in this moment with me. Virtual reality means totally immersive. As you can see the picture there, that is a picture that we took while we were doing a demonstration in virtual reality. But as you notice, it's totally immersive. So the woman who is in this headset has no idea what's going on in her environment around her. She is totally immersed through the headset into a new world or experiences. So in understanding VR, VR is totally immersive. It allows you to go inside new worlds, new experiences. And there's the definition on the screen there. It's a simulated experience that can be similar to or completely different from the real world. In virtual reality, you're completely immersed in an experience all around you. So one key takeaway with VR, totally immersive. You're inside of a world or experience. So that means everything that's going on around you outside is not a part of that. You're totally immersed in a new reality. Now, with that said, virtual reality everywhere. I don't know about y'all, but this makes me so excited to talk about this of computing. My excitement. Virtual reality is everywhere. Some of the industries, and this is like anybody who's been in this space is probably like, oh, that's all you got? Because it's everywhere. But some of the places where I have worked in it personally, of course, our ministry. Do y'all see this picture? This is actually a picture that you could view in a virtual reality headset and be like you're in it. But this was taken at the Bible Museum in Washington, D.C. That's me and my husband there in the orange shirts. And our son, who was in a stroller at the time, he's not anymore. We were looking at one of those Bible scenes. That was so captivating. You have to see this picture in VR so you can feel like you're there. Do you see how the screen that you see it on now, it exposes it to us. It gives us access, but to go in VR gives us presence. VR is also showing up in education, entertainment, healthcare. It is in pretty much any and every industry now that you can think of. Where there is a need to feel a sense of presence, VR is there to fulfill that need. It's a totally new era of computing. Unforgettable experiences have I had in VR, and so have many of my students. I own a media company, my husband and I, El Michelle Media, and one of our not even target, but prime industries that we work in and outside of ministry is education. And of course, this new era of computing is quite captivating to younger audiences. This will play. I love her reaction. If it doesn't play for this, we'll make this presentation available and you can see it later. Let's see if she's in a VR headset. She's in an experience. Let's see. She's in a shark experience, she's saying. Oh no. So, I mean, it goes on a little bit longer, but I'll just stop it for now. We'll see. I'll let it load a little bit. But notice she has other kids around her in this classroom, but in her mind, she is in a shark experience. She is actually underwater and the sharks are coming after her. So again, just reiterating the point that VR, you're completely immersed in an experience. Let's see if we can see a little bit of it. If not, we'll go on. Do you see that? She's like, hey, but you're in the classroom. But for her, it was completely immersive. So that's it. That's kind of like our introduction into VR. Are there any questions out there, Dr. Leary? Because you know I'm on my screen and I'm just riding out. My internet connection is great for this. Can you still hear me?
Yes, no questions so far.
Okay, all right. So that was VR, right? And so what do we remember about VR? Totally immersive. Gives you a sense of presence. You're going inside a world, which means the world around you, you're no longer really aware of. Thus, my young learner there saying, oh, sharks, get away, even though she was just really in a classroom with her classmates. So maybe you're saying, I don't want to be totally immersed into a world. I want to know what's going on around me. I actually don't necessarily just want to be in a headset like that. Then I would say to you, sure thing. Welcome to the land of augmented reality. I love this picture. This picture is courtesy of Magic Leap back a couple of years ago when they were introducing their augmented or mixed reality headset. But just for the purpose of this discussion, you see there, you're in a living room, and with AR, unlike VR, everything is an overlay over your real environment. So you're still completely aware of your surroundings and your reality, so to speak, but it's enhanced through augmented reality. So, augmented reality, experience new world on top of your own. So in VR, you're going inside new worlds. In AR, it's on top of your world. So you're not necessarily having to go inside in AR because it's a mixture of your current reality with digital things all around you. Augmented reality is a technology that superimposes a computer-generated image on a user's view of the real world, thus providing a composite view. The breakdown: experience new worlds on top of your own. A really huge example of this is Snapchat. When they came out with all of those filters, you notice you see your real face. If you move your phone, you see it. But then if you look again, you could have the nose of a dog. You could have on something more practical, makeup. You could try on makeup. You could try on glasses. So that's superimposing a computer-generated image on top of your real world. Those are examples of augmented reality. Augmented reality is everywhere too, folks. Retail. repair, maintenance, design and modeling, business logistics, tourism, classroom education, field service, entertainment, and books. Look at my new journal right there. Shameless plug. It is a 10-year journal series that we're producing with these glasses right here, smart glasses, but that's another discussion of how we're capturing reality. But the way that you can tap in is through augmented reality. So the entire series for the next 10 years, we'll see how augmented reality develops as well. So that's me. If you look to your right here, on the left, you see the journal. On the right, you see what comes alive when you scan the journal, when augmented reality is enacted. So look, you scan there, and then boom, it's like, oh, it's really this, and this is a film entry, and it unlocks different things. So with that said, let me explain a little bit. With augmented reality, you can enter these new worlds through a marker, like, and you're then able to experience them right where you are. Let me break that down for you. In the left image, we're working on a self-guided tour with Florida A&M University right now. And you might notice that they're like, you can experience FAMU in augmented reality, and they're pointing to the code. That code is a marker. It looks like a QR code, but it actually has AR assets. So if you were to scan it, then you would see something as it relates to this tour stop on top of your world. Now, maybe you're like, Elle, I don't know what you're saying. I got you. Well, you can right now scan this code with your phone. So it works like you would scan any QR code. Why don't you try it? Okay. You open up your camera there, scan this code, and it'll say, hey, are you trying to go to this web page? It'll show you a page that you're going to, which will unlock the augmented reality experience. So you can see what it's like to have something overlaid onto your world in a practical, functional way. So now mine, it's saying it's taking a little bit to load due to Wi-Fi, but now it's loading up, and wow. Ooh, and you see me in the background. Hi, I'm in the real world. And then also we have some augmented things to tell you. So it brings the stop alive in an amazing way. So hopefully, if you're watching this from somewhere, you'll go back and scan it yourself. I wanted you to be able to try it. So in order to enter augmented reality, you have to have some sort of marker like this code that you scan, or you're in an app that kind of brings these things to life. So what's next? Talk a little bit about VR. Do you remember what VR is? It's that you're inside the world. Talk a little bit about AR. You're still in your world, but what we want to bring from a new world, we put it on top of the world you're in. So you're kind of experiencing like a dual reality. But what's next in this new era of computing is what's called collaborative computing, a world where VR and AR merge, mixed reality, really, or as Microsoft in their presentation just a few days ago calls it mesh. They have a new product called Microsoft Mesh, which I wanted to show you an example just to show you where things are going. A sense of presence on top of your real world and collaboration all in one. Let's check it out.
Connection
Oh no, I'm wondering if
is a spark that gives our lives meaning. drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Why don't you put that in and we'll take a look together. Hey, Mari, what you got for me?
Oh no. I want
Find
to.
those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
So, Smith, look over here.
Challenge us with new ways of being.
I think we should.
Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
最后一笔的时候，往前
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves.
Take a closer look at it.
Place this here, this here.
This sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time. I'm gonna make it, okay?
It's yours, take it.
We have two planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
I think if we had 330, maintaining 2800, we'll be clear for approach.
Excellent.
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promise in the possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Slowly coming towards the thumb.
A world without boundaries.
Good job. A lot better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring
A
the
world where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here, and here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
Now I know it might have been just a little hard to see that, so we'll provide that YouTube link if you want to really view it on your own. It's incredible. It's incredible. And it's not that I work for any product specifically. I am amazed at the collaborative computing that is so now right within our reach. So it's like I talked a little bit about some of the things that are the foundation of this, but the line that really got me was here, wherever here is for you, and being able to collaborate and just work on all types of things and see them in real time, and just having all of the elements of AR and VR all in one place. And Microsoft Mesh is one product that is doing it, and there will be many more, but this new era of computing is underway, folks. Let me note the background here was not just cool, but when they introduced this product, there were people viewing in VR, and they turned the entire presentation into an aquarium while they presented the new product. Crazy. Totally crazy. So, moral of the story, folks, beyond the buildings, beyond the screens, begin to think of new worlds, new experiences. This is a new era of computing, and now is a better time than ever to get involved. If you want to scan me, you remember I showed you how to do that earlier? Scan me right there, and you'll have everything you need to contact me. And I'll leave that up for just a minute. And also, if you're not willing to scan right now, and I should know, even on morning programs, they have these codes at the bottom. When they're doing the segment, they'll be like, hey, scan this, marker right here. You can find out more. Well, AR, like I said, works in the same way, but it takes you into entirely new experiences with products and content. So anyway, you need me, scan me. And you can also follow, of course, me on social media. We can't abandon the platforms where people are, because at the end of the day, it's about connecting with the people who need you. But we always got to be pursuing even greater ways to connect. But I am on social media pretty much everywhere. That's 3 of them. Also on Instagram, which is one of my personal faves. But if you just look for El Michelle Media, you'll find everything that we're doing. And hate for the excitement to stop. Wasn't that a whole vibe, Dr. Leary?
Yeah, it was. I do have a few questions for you though.
Okay, go.
So I'm really very much curious in how you see our advancement into these virtual technologies, and how we can work on maintaining presence while working on existing in, automated spaces, essentially. So one thing that I know about you is that you're super big on, being able to maintain some bit of presence on social media, and some presence that's authentic to the person, because it's very easy to be someone else on the internet. Extremely easy. So I would like you to talk a little bit more about, and I have 2 questions. This is just the first one. I want you to talk a little bit more about how technology, which is being used right now and has been used for a decade, actually, even through just simple video games and stuff, or longer, as a form of escape. How do we maintain presence while advancing with tech like VR, AR, computer automation like mesh? And my second question is, how can we utilize this technology in a COVID and post-COVID world when it comes to ministry and, fellowship in the body of Christ?
Gosh, I want to answer the second one, but we'll put a pin in that. I'm so excited about that after seeing that Microsoft Mesh video. But to answer your first question, I think, let me be careful about how I say this, but I like to use imagery to describe things. And so I feel like social media was our door. I'll say it's a door into another way of communicating. It became, or has, become our space, our primary and first point of contact, really, for communicating with people. So there we are learning. It's been our training wheels, in a sense, of learning how to find our voice. Not so hard to find our voice in the physical, because we just start speaking and we hear it, although we may be saying things and we don't know how they all connect, but people hear our voice. When you start doing that digitally, you have to find out how to translate your human self into a digital format. It takes time. It takes practice, because you're essentially developing a presence that's authentic to you, but it's more expansive than what you could have been, or more expansive than what you can be just in the physical form. What do I mean by that? Physically, I'm in Tallahassee. Without this digital tool platform, we can't connect. I can't connect to anyone who's watching now. All I would be able to connect to right now is who's here, and that's my 5-year-old son. So it's limited in the physical sense without these tools, without the social media. Sorry. So fast forward to social media. It is our space, and a lot of people are judgmental there of people, a lot of people are judgmental there of people. Can you hear me? If not, I will go off of video and just do audio. They're judgmental people in the social space because people are really trying to figure out how to navigate it. Now I have access to the world. What do I do with that access? Who do I want to be? And a lot of times we have a problem with that because it's like, you need to be who you are. I agree. But you also need to be greater and more expansive. And it may be a situation where you find your tribe, whereas the people in the physical sense didn't get you. They didn't understand. But the people in the tribe sense, or what you found on social media, think about TikTok. I can do all these videos. I can do all these dance challenges. Think about TikTok. I could do all these videos. I could do all these dance challenges. I could express myself in ways that I couldn't just do in a physical sense, because you might say, is she tripping? That's why we show these social videos doing the dance challenges. And in the natural sense, people are looking like, what is she doing? But for us on the networks, we're like, she's doing the beatbox challenge. Okay. So social media was our space to begin to understand ourselves in this new sense that's beyond limits, beyond physical limitations, that's beyond what we could just do in a natural sense. Now we're going from there. So I will say this, it is important to be true to you and know who you are, and, try to present that, knowing that we're forever evolving. So sometimes we got to give people, because this is a personal growth matters series, we got to give people a little grace in their evolution. They may be going through something. And it's like, why are they putting that on social media? Yeah, that's kind of where they are. Maybe they need a little training. They're pretty rough around the edges. Maybe they shouldn't put that out there, but they're trying to get it down pat or whatever. So anyway, to move from that point, I feel like once you become more comfortable expressing yourself outside of the physical sense, socially, I think it is a natural progression into this new era of computing, which now will allow you to express, or give you the opportunity to express yourself with a true sense of presence. Social media is as much as we can, considering the limitations of the platform. This new era of computing, now you have a body. And yes, you have a body on social media, but it's a little bit of physical and a little bit of digital. So now imagine going into a world where it's an entirely new world. It's almost like you can build a version of yourself. My friend at VR Church, and I know I am answering your questions, so please just catch the answers as they're coming. But my friend at VR Church, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, my friend at VR Church talks about how he has a lot of people, Dr. Leary, serving in his church as ushers and things like that. And guess what? In the physical, they're paralyzed from the neck down. But in this new world, and I'm not making this up, they're able to express themselves like they would like to, they cannot physically. To me, that is just, I don't know, what is a word that means beyond amazing? It's incredible. So I think in these new worlds, authenticity, I hate to say it's being redefined, but we're able in these new worlds to get into ourselves in a way that not be able, because some people will abuse that privilege. Like, shoot, I'm gonna act like I'm a king, man, and I'm gonna create a world where I'm a king and all my subjects, whatever. But I think it has to may have something that really physically
We can no longer hear you, Professor L. Are you still there?
I am still here, but I think what I will do is log on from another device so I can be sure you hear me. I'll be talking here, but I'm not sure where I dropped out, but
The last
give
thing
me
we
one.
heard was physically.
Okay, I am in the meeting from another device, which should be clear. All righty. Okay, so anyway, I think in these new worlds we'll be entering a space that we are able to do things that are beyond what we could do physically. It will take some training. It will take some training to make sure that we do that with integrity. We want to do that with integrity, but I also think it gives us tremendous possibility. Like I said, in the case of the people who are attending church who might not have been able to attend otherwise. There are also people, he said, in his church, and I like these examples because these are ongoing in the church sense, and it gets to your ministry question, who have social anxiety. They just cannot, the way their mind works, be in a physical space, but they want the fellowship. And in these new worlds, that becomes extremely beneficial to them. And so you asked, where and how do we begin to leverage these tools in the space that we're in? I would say it takes some strategy and kind of thinking about it from a standpoint of, how can I serve people with these new tools? Again, this is a new era of computing. And I love to put it like that because that's something we can wrap our minds around versus just saying, let's get some headsets. And people are like, what are you talking about? You talking about earphones or what? So I think what we saw with the collaborative computing, Dr. Leary, I could literally run off this screen, because what you would have seen in the video, had the connection been where I really wanted it to be, was that they were able to collaborate with their coworkers and be right where they were in their space and still work collaboratively with a sense of presence. It's like those holograms were not just, oh, doesn't this look futuristic cool? It's like now their avatar is even more realistic. It's like their digital self is now holographic, and it's almost the entire sense of presence. So it's not where you could necessarily be doing a billion things at once, but it does give you the freedom of working together from where you are with someone else from where they are with that sense of presence. So when we think about church, you and I attend the same church, we're in different cities. Digital has made that possible, but this new era of computing will give us a sense of presence with it. So I might be able to see Toya in a hologram or Dr. Leary in a hologram with her new hairstyle. And she's standing there in a group talking to us like she's really there in the natural. And so I think as in terms of fellowship, oh my gosh, it's going to be limitless in terms of even the dynamic of church. If you'll notice in the last slide, I said, what is the moral to this story? Beyond the building, beyond screens, we're building new worlds. And I think in these new worlds, we'll have a redefined sense of what church looks like. Principles same, word, fellowship, help, deliverance. I'll say this. There were a lot of articles and news stories about how my friend Pastor DJ baptized someone in VR. Oh, the church went, wow, you can't do that. Well, why not? Is not baptism anyway just a physical representation of something that's happening spiritually? So then why couldn't he dip someone in the water in VR and see the same results? It was quite the discussion. But at the end of the day, he did it, the person received it, and they were able to move forward in their sense of new life. So I think some of those dynamics of the way things were traditionally done, I think we'll find ourselves with this sense of presence getting back into the essence of how things are done. So I don't know. I talked a long time. There had to be some answers in there.
Well, what it does for me is it actually causes me to think through some things that I've been having to talk to God about for the past, 2 years. And that is maintaining my own presence. Because I see a lot and I kind of live in multiple worlds, so often I'm kind of forced to have to share my time, if that makes any sense, with multiple spaces. And I don't do that very well. I could be very much in your face and hear everything you're saying and be physically there, but be more existent somewhere else. So and that has caused me to realize that, I'm not the only one with presence issues. There are lots of people who struggle with being present in general without the complications of technology.
Yeah.
And you include things like the cell phone and iPads and smart devices and our televisions. And then you include things like VR and AR, and it becomes more and more challenging to maintain your presence because these technology in so many ways is trying to establish for us a new way to be present. But I'm not sure that we've all really mastered ways in which we could effectively be present in our human selves. So this actually caused me to think of our next group of webinars. Actually, I think I'm gonna have some webinars, like a webinar series just focused on presence. And I'd love for you to come back and share with us your thoughts on how to maintain, presence in these virtual spaces, because it is so easy. The television is on often in my house, but I have a lot that I'm doing and it's really white noise. I'm not really present with those actors who are pouring out their hearts. I hear what they're doing. I'm laughing every so often, but I'm not really present, that kind of thing. So I think we probably need to talk about presence and human identity, presence and our connection with creation and other aspects, or aspects of God and aspects of deity, but also how to move that presence in virtual spaces. So I'm really excited for this series. I think it's gonna definitely be challenging for me to be open about this stuff, but also I think it will challenge us all because we have to think about, these mediums that we have today and how they might be in some ways giving us an escape and an excuse from actually existing, and think about how to use them in ways that are beneficial, in ways that, more so promote our existence and not take away from them.
I'll say this. First of all, I think with this discussion, I have been reminded of how passionate I am about this next era new era of computing. But I'll say this, I think what is helping us, what you'll find as you're in this space more, is that it redefines our sense of presence. And I think that is something I need to discuss. I have legitimately been to experiences in VR with people from around the world that it literally felt like I was really there with them beyond the screen. Like the screens for me now, I realized were the door, the introduction into us really becoming, I think there'll be several versions of our existence. I think they'll all tie in, but ultimately, but I think we're moving into a space where there'll be some different versions of us. I'll give you an example. Okay, so last week I was in a iHeartRadio VR room, and it was a Black Lives Matter type room. It was a tribute to Black history space, and there were people there from all over in avatars, and some teenagers came in there and they were like saying all kind of stuff like, what you gonna do? Like they were just turning up. And all of us were like, we were really having discussion and enjoying the vibe. And there was a way in there. It was in Oculus venues where I could say, hold on, y'all. And I could adjust my reality in there. Like this person right here, their presence is going to be muted. I'm not going to hear from them anymore. So it froze all the people around me, and I could decide like, no, that's not coming into my space. Da, 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 da. And then I went back to our regularly scheduled VR experience. I was like, I'm back, y'all. I just had to mute some people. They were like, oh, word. Hold on. Let me do that too. Let me adjust but it was like we were really there. Notice how I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it like, because we were really standing in there. We took selfies. And the selfie I took was bomb too. Like, I was like, this is crazy. My avatar was on fleek. I really need to get with that guy who took the selfies. He was like, oh, and then check this out. And then we'll go. Because it seems like I'm rabbit trailing, but I'm really not. He was like, oh, I said, I need these pictures. He was like, yeah, well, just you could follow me on social media and I'll send it to you. And it's like, when I got out of that experience, I couldn't remember his name on social media and all of that. Here's my point though. Social media became like if this were a greater level, social media had us backing up. It was like, yeah, maybe, oh yeah, social media, maybe you could just check in with me on there. But this gave us such a great sense of being there that it almost seemed like I was like, can't you just put these pictures in my hand and I take them with me? That is where we're going. But social media has been our coach into how to conduct ourselves, even though some of us are still learning and what to do for this new era. But it really feels real. And if the church really grabs hold, oh my gosh. Like I've been in VR church and he's been teaching something in the Bible and he literally says, let's go over into this world. I want to walk you through the story of Noah. Now, look at this. Let's walk into the ark. I was like, I'm done. It just resonated more. Like, I'm in the ark now. So it's going to open up so many great, incredible dynamics for us to learn and to be more engaged with what God is doing. So anyway, I went on a rabbit trail, but I feel like I need to pull some of these experiences and I need those selfie pictures from that day. But yeah, it's a real deal. So I think it's going to redefine our sense of presence.
Yeah, there is that fear of mine, though, that because we haven't really established how humans should be present, that it will be hard to translate that into a more redefined form of presence. Like I think as humans, because we see ourselves as like the center of creation, we're like the penultimate creation, we've kind of ignored like our connection with creation and our connection with other aspects of God and divinity, that we haven't really quite established presence in those areas. So it makes it really hard to think of how we would like push that into a new form. And I think with that said, I don't think I don't think that VR or AR or any of this is bad. I just think it would be even better if people were like making connections with some of this stuff that's kind of been hidden from us, to be honest, because it was here in the earth before. People were one with creation, understood what, you know, how their role was in caring for creation, understood that they would be nothing without those trees and plants, you know. Now we're chopping them down and limiting our air source, that kind of stuff. Like, I think keeping up with that type of teaching and making sure that those things exist in VR and in these other forms of technology becomes important, because you can't have a technological body if your natural body is dying. Like,
yeah, and you know,
thing.
you bring up a good point. Like, I guess it does bring up the point, how do you make sure, if we're getting so far away from the physical? So it was physical, then digital, then social. You see how we're moving away?
Yeah.
Now, virtual reality and all those things, it makes me think of Ready Player One, where the cities were just like dilapidated, but then they put on these headsets and they're like, checking back in now. And so we are, and it's like, oh, snap, what about? So I think that's worth discussing too. There's a lot there that we can talk about. We can go there. I'd be excited to discuss it more.
We do have a student with a question before we sign off. So she
cool.
has two questions. She wants to know how much VR equipment is, and she wants to know how VR can actually help people grow in their relationship with God.
Oh, okay. That's a good, very good question. Thank you for tuning in. You could get something to get started in like a mobile phone-based VR, which is pretty much what things are moving away from. But let's just say you wanted to try out some VR experiences on YouTube. You could get a cardboard headset right now off of Amazon for $7. If you wanted kind of like what you saw in the pictures that I had, those headsets start at $199, $299 for one with a pretty good amount of space. I like the Oculus headset because of the experiences that are on there. How could it help you get closer to God? What we're doing in this space are testimonials. We're showing inside the life of believers. I think it's very powerful to be able to walk in the shoes of someone. How powerful is it to be able to experience a testimony? Imagine me telling you a testimony of my healing, but imagine you being able to be in the hospital room, see how I took that news, see what scriptures I leaned on. So with that sense of presence that this new era of computing brings to us, to our lives, you're able to experience God more in various ways. So through testimonials, like I explained earlier, through the word of God being built around the world. Maybe you couldn't quite understand the dynamic of John 10, but maybe this amazing creator made a world surrounding this chapter that you could go in and see the scriptures all around. Way more engaging than just looking at a screen or looking at it in a book, because they're all around you and you can experience what the words are saying. So I think for me, experience resonates more in some sense. Like, we like the experience of church, right? We like coming in there and, you know, talking with people. We like the whole experience. It's not that we just want to go to a church building all the time, but we really want to see this person, or if they had a baby, we want to talk to them and that. So I think with VR, what might have been a hindrance to us geographically or in the physical sense is now opened up because of our sense of presence in VR. And so we can experience maybe even things that we would in churches from around the world or ministries from around the world. I'll say this one thing, mission work even. Tom's has a VR experience, you know, Tom's, the shoes, that talks about the villages that, you know, when we buy the shoes and what that the people impacted, and we were able to go in their houses. I was like, that made me want to give. It made me see how God is showing up for these people. So I think when you get a chance to experience God through the lives of people in that way, I think it draws you closer. And not only that, it sows a seed for you to do it, for you to live it out, for it to become more real to you in that sense. So those are my thoughts on that.
Awesome. Any other questions from students?
Come on, y'all. Let's talk about this new era. You got to get in. Thing about the new era is this, folks. You hear me say you got to get in. Well, you can say, no, I don't. And that's true. But it is a new era of computing that it's worth knowing about because it's not going anywhere. When I first started in 2016, I was kind of on the fence. I'm like, oh, you like new things. I was hoping it stayed around. And I was late. I was late in the sense of early adoption because there are people who've been in this space since the early 2000s, and they've now built out platforms and worlds, and they're just really crushing it right now. So I was a little, you know, I wasn't the earliest person in this space. I'll put it like that. But I have seen it grow and become more affordable. And experiences, I work out in VR. Although I'm feeling a sense of conviction right now telling you that because I haven't been in there in a month to work out. But I have a VR workout plan with a trainer who stands in front of me and says, all right, let's get this thing popping. You ready? And I mean, I love it. Sorry. Because I don't necessarily like to go in a gym. I don't know. It's the water smell or something for me. I don't know. I just can't do it. But I can put on that VR headset and be like, let's go. And it's a real workout. And I pay a monthly fee to it too. It's cheaper than the gym. And it's amazing. And I choose my own path and I say, look, so I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities like that. I saw an amazing experience on Anne Frank in VR, Diary of Anne Frank. We had to read that in school. I don't remember it, but I remember that VR experience. They recreated the rooms they were in. I was like, oh my, you know, so you could hear the noise and I felt like I was really there. So I think in that sense, feeling like you're really there inside of what God is doing in life will strengthen your relationship all in itself.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, Professor L. This was great. I do want to go ahead and close out because we are out of time. But before closing out, I want to let you guys know what we're doing here with ABI really quickly. As always, we have things going on because we offer new classes every single month and we offer webinars every single month. And the new webinar schedule will be coming up pretty soon. But nonetheless, there's always something going on here at ABI. We want to encourage lifelong learning. And so we make sure that we keep you busy and that we keep ourselves busy in the process, making sure that we're able to meet our goal of producing lifelong learners. So we have term 3 classes coming up, quite a few courses. Term 3 has courses that are 8 weeks and courses that are 4 weeks. And we'll go through just 2 of those 8-week courses and 2 of those 4-week courses this time around. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel our church administration class, so we're not going to be offering that one anymore. But we are still very much offering the 2 8-week courses, which are all about languages. So if you want to learn Hebrew or Greek, go ahead and enroll in Essentials of Biblical Hebrew 1 or Intro to New Testament Greek 1. And we're going to make sure that we start the process of teaching you these languages and helping you to grow in your ability to become a translator of the Bible. We also have 4 2 4-week courses. One is Back to the Text Understanding Prayer. It's taught by Professor Onika Stewart, and this course has been raved about since she last taught it last year. And there are students who still talk about the impact that this course has had on their lives today. So please do take that course. It's a great course, and Professor Stewart takes her time and she tries her best to ensure that she's able to successfully debunk a lot of these myths and a lot of these ideologies that stop people from pressing forward in their prayer lives. Last but not least, we have Bible, Sex, and Other Texts, Part 2. We are in Part 1 right now. Just 2 sessions left, but you do not have to take Part 1 in order to take Part 2. Part 1 of the course is focusing on ancient Near Eastern and Hebrew Bible stuff, but Part 2 of the course is all about Christianity and New Testament. So we're talking about different things, and we're really going to be getting into conversations about gender, about sex and sexuality, and about, you know, how these things intersect with other social categories like race, you know, things of that nature. But it's going to be a fun class because the Bible is wild. So do take that. All of these classes start the week of March 21st, and they all have individual days that are already pre-established for you. So you can register for these courses at www.AminaBibleInstitute.net. We do have some promotions. So one of the promotions is that if you register for a monthly subscription, you get 10% off. So do that if you're interested in taking a class every single month. It is the cheapest way to go about that. And not only that, but you'll receive new registration every single term, allowing you to pick new classes every single month and allowing you to get into the routine of learning more about yourself, learning more about God, and taking part in fellowship with other Christian believers. So do register and enroll in a monthly subscription if you're interested in that. And last but not least, we just have a few more webinars left in the spring, early part of the spring. We're going to produce our late spring and summer webinar schedule pretty soon. So that new schedule is coming up, but we do have a few more webinars. We have one on emotional intelligence in about a week. And we have one on the plurality of God at the end of the month. It's a real talk webinar, so we're not going to bring any PowerPoint, any type of, you know, educational tools. We're just going to randomly chat with you and pour out our brains about a topic. And in this case, it will be all about the plurality of God. So I'm already thinking things like Trinity and things of that nature, and lots of texts are going through my head. So join me in that brain dump, in that meaningful brain dump, where we have a great conversation discussing the concept of God and gods. And you can register for these free webinars. They are free of charge, but we want you to register. You can register on our website. Just click the icon that says register for webinars. And once again, they're free of charge. You'll receive the link to our virtual classroom upon registering. I believe that's all. Professor L, did you want to say anything before we conclude?
No, other than this was great. And I'm so glad that we got a chance to have this discussion. I feel like now is the time to talk about it more than ever. And I look forward to sharing more about it as I go even further and further into these worlds, and look forward to seeing some of you in there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was excellent. And we look forward to seeing you and learning from you even more in the future.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everybody.